Exercise number 1 is the elbow elevated dumbbell external rotation. So in this movement, you're sitting down, you have one leg elevated up on the floor or the bench, and your elbow is resting on your knee. And one of the reasons why I like this exercise is because we're externally rotating against a load, and you have your elbow at 90 degrees, which is going to mimic the same turnover position of a snatch. All right. The other thing is this is going to be resisted external rotation, which we know is going to target the infraspinatus, and it's a very important muscle during Olympic lifts. Exercise number 2, 90-90 band external rotation. And the reason why I like this one is because it's very similar to the turnover position of the snatch, just like the last exercise. So you're 90 degrees of abduction, and you have resisted external rotation, which we know targets the infraspinatus and supraspinatus. And we're emphasizing that turnover portion of the snatch. Exercise number 3, very similar to exercise number 2, 90-90 band external rotation to overhead press. So same exact motion as a 90-90 band external rotation, except once we finish the external rotation, we now press completely overhead. And what's nice about this exercise is that it's going to focus on that turnover portion of the snatch, but also is going to strengthen the lockout portion for jerks and snatches as well. So we're starting to be a little bit more specific to the lockout portion of Olympic lifts with the rotator cuff exercises. Exercise number 4 is a prone Y. I like this is because it has high EMG of the infraspinatus and the supraspinatus. And we're also going towards lockout. So this is going to be helpful for building strength and stability for locking weights out overhead. Next exercise is the Cuban press. This is a very interesting exercise. I actually love it. So standing up, you have 2 light dumbbells, and you pull the dumbbells up into a high and outside position or scarecrow position. And from here, you externally rotate until you're at your end range of external rotation, and then you come right back down into internal rotation and back to your side. So what's really cool about this exercise is it's kind of like a slow muscle snatch. So it really is focusing on that turnover portion of the snatch, building some resiliency in that very specific position for the snatch. Next is good old scaption or abduction with a thumbs up. So one of the reasons why I really like this exercise is because it's been shown time and time again to have very high EMG for the supraspinatus as well as the infraspinatus. When you turn your thumbs up, it's going to mimic some slight external rotation of the shoulder. And that's exactly what your shoulder does when you're pressing loads overhead. So again, specific to our Olympic lifts, particularly the jerk. It's really nice in folks to have irritable shoulders because we can use nice low loads. We can go slowly, which is great for folks that can't tolerate heavier loading initially. Like I said previously, it mimics that pressing motion overhead. Very similar to an overhead press, just probably a little bit slower with less load. Next, dumbbell overhead press. And one of the reasons why I like this exercise is because we're getting closer and closer to our barbell jerk. So we're looking more and more specific towards the Olympic lifts with this exercise. We can start to load it a little bit heavier, which is going to be important because when we lift heavy weights for Olympic weightlifting, we're not going slow. We're using heavy loads and we're going quickly. So when we use a dumbbell overhead press, that's going to be a little bit closer to a jerk than, let's say, dumbbell scaption, right? It has high EMG of the supraspinatus as well as infraspinatus, although we probably have decent subscapularis activation as well. And it's a phenomenal exercise for building strength overall in the shoulder. I just feel that in folks that Olympic lift regularly, they should have some sort of overhead pressing into the program, and the dumbbell overhead press kind of fits that bill. So if you are loving what you are learning right now, I highly recommend you check out my Fitness Pain-Free episode where we go over a patellar and quadriceps tendinopathy guide. I will leave a link in the show notes. Definitely recommend checking it out. You can also click on the link right above if you're watching this on YouTube and get started watching right away.